Hey, Liron here. I have a question for you. Are you on the verge of giving up on watercolor? Now, quite honestly, I hope there aren't many people who this video speaks to, but for those who do feel like they're close to giving up or just are going to quit, I do hope this helps in a way. So I want to share with you my perspective. I started doing watercolor around 2016 very seriously, 2015, 16, something like that. So that would be 7, 8 years now. And I have to tell you, I consider myself one of those people that actually grow really fast and mainly in spurts. So I'll have a time where a lot of things, I'm able to crack the code, so to speak, and understand a lot of things about the medium and about myself and how I like to paint. And so then I experience huge growth within a couple of months. And then it's followed by a time period of stagnation. Now, the ratio between the two, for me personally, again, everyone's different, but it changes vastly. So right now, in my 8th year into watercolor, I am experiencing for a couple of weeks now this very heavy feeling of not stagnation, but frustration with my results. Sometimes you understand new things that make your standard go up. Sometimes you just don't know and you get results that you don't like constantly. And that can lead a lot of people to give up. Now, I will say this. I've gone through these cycles many times before, and I never even considered the possibility of giving up. And the same thing right now. I would never give up on it. Some may say it's easy for me to say because I've been doing it for a while now and I am achieving results, but you have to understand it really is all in your head and it's all relational. So whenever I paint, I still see the gap between what I want to achieve and what I actually have there on paper. And I have a bunch of, I wouldn't say complete failures, but attempts that are like this one that I shared a couple of days ago on Instagram. This one, it's a big mess. This one on the other side of that, another big mess. And it's not even necessarily about the result, but sometimes when I'll sit down and paint, I won't have a clear picture of how to do the thing I want to do, and then the execution's off and I lose the motivation in the middle of the process. That can actually happen. Now, what I've learned after 8 years of doing this is that playing around with a few different switches and knobs in my brain completely solves this problem. So what I know for a fact is today I'm going to sit down, I'm going to open up a few still life arrangements, fruits, vegetables, simple stuff, and just paint them directly. And I know it's going to get me completely out of this because I'm familiar with my own switches. So I've been trying to challenge myself with some very challenging subjects. And it's great, nothing wrong with that, but what I found was it moved me away from that purity of just putting the paint on paper and doing it from a clean place without overthinking, without trying to achieve a certain success. That's the thing. When you're trying to achieve success, it tends to elude you. Whatever you chase runs away. But when you're just focused on the act of painting, magic happens. So if you're in a point where you feel like you're about to almost give up on the medium, I would say it always goes back to it's something I talked about a lot, asking yourself, why do I paint? But also just looking inside and figuring out what actually goes on in there. Not what you think it is, not if you ask yourself, like, what's going on, and you get a couple of fake answers from your mind. Not that. What actually is going on there? What are the things you really, truly dislike about the result? And then solving that issue. Because what tends to happen is, when we encounter a problem, people almost never actually try to solve the problem. They look for an external solution. If I keep overworking my watercolor, there's a tendency to look for that piece of advice that will help me stop overworking my watercolors. The answer is usually not there. External advice can inspire, which is what I'm trying to do with my content. But at the end of the day, you have to actually look at what you do that's considered overwork. What you do, what you think, what you feel that leads to that result. Are you overwhelmed by details so you end up working a little slow and you end up mixing and mixing and mixing because you're a perfectionist? That's one possible scenario. There are endless scenarios, right? There's as many scenarios as there are people in this world. So the solution will be inside your own very personal problem, and it can be solved. As someone who went through a bunch of cycles like this, if you look at my first watercolors, it wasn't good. It wasn't fancy. It looked like everyone's first watercolors. That's very important to understand. My first watercolors just look like everyone else's first watercolors. The difference is that I dove deep into the medium itself. I did look at a lot of tutorials and a lot of external advice, but I have a lot of experience in taking things, putting them under my own filter, and then using whatever is necessary and whatever is me, right? And I think maybe some people could develop that filter a little better. If you get too caught up with external advice, at some point you lose yourself, and what happens is, again, at the heart of producing a piece of art you like, is that clean connection to that creation energy. When you sit down and you just paint and you don't think about anything else, and no one can tell you don't think about anything else and the thoughts will go away. No one can tell you that. That is on you to find that place, but that place exists for everyone. So if you're on the verge of giving up, think about it. Ponder these ideas, see where it leads you. I can't give you any, clear, definite answer, but I can say one thing. The problems you're experiencing have a solution. The solution is within the problem you're experiencing. And if you truly want to simply solve the problem, have it go away and never to return, it's all about looking into the problem. And I hope that helps in a way. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions, because this is a very advanced topic for me as well. It's only me speaking from experience. I don't speak on this authoritatively as someone whose profession is necessarily to help solve creative problems, though I am building quite a lot of experience in doing that for myself, but I'm not speaking from that lens. I'm actually speaking from the lens of someone who just experienced the same thing. I've gone through, now a couple of weeks of not producing something that I particularly like. I do have a few standout works that you've seen. I shared shingles. I'm talking about after divination. Divination was perfect, but after that, I do like the rooftops. I like a bunch of stuff that I made. Don't get me wrong. Because we're focusing on problems in this video, it sounds like I don't like anything I do. But I'm used to maybe getting 2 out of 3 that I really like, and now it's like 1 out of 5. So it's just a feel, right? I'm not actually counting and following. But yeah. Take it as you will. I hope that leads to someone out there maybe being inspired to truly look into their own problems and solve them. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Again, let me know your thoughts, and I will see you in the next video.